highlight it. So obviously expect me to make like maybe a few mistakes here and there. But yeah. So let me turn the game volume down because this is gonna distract me a lot. So I guess hold on, let me bring up my thingy. I should have it in like Discord or something. Okay. Where do I put this? I guess here maybe? Yeah, I think this is fine. Okay. So let's start with spin dashing, I guess. So spin dashing in this game works exactly like S3K for any, well, it's not technically the exact same, but like pretty much the same thing. Speeds range from 0 to 100%, and depending, so the more rev ups you do, the faster your spin dash will be typically. And every time every frame that you don't release the spin dash, or every frame that there's a gap in between rev ups, you're losing like 2 to 4% of your speed roughly. So that's why 9 taps or 12 taps or whatever, like over 6 taps is the best way to get 100%. But yeah, I guess let me like show off what I mean. So the most like common way that people spin dash in this game is by holding down and just piano rolling the buttons. So by piano rolling, I mean you press each one of the 3 jump buttons, A, B, C, in like a 1, 2, 3 kind of way. Like you just piano roll them, you could say. Like, so for example, I have input display on so you can see what I mean. So 1, 2, 3 like that, and you just do it fast like this, right? So most people, for pretty much most of the spin dashes in the game, you want to be doing a 6 tap, since it's the most efficient way to spin dash, you could say. Although there are some places where you might want to do a 3 tap or a 5 tap or a 4 tap or a 2 tap or a 1 tap, or sometimes more than 6 if you want a more consistent 100% spin dash. For example, the big jump in Mystic Cave 1, to just like that one jump after the first vine, you need a 100% spin dash, a perfect spin dash, as you might say, to jump up and clear that gap. So that's a 6 tap. 3 tap is the same as a 6 tap, except you only do 1 piano roll, so like that. And the way you do 4 taps or 2 taps is just piano rolling 2 buttons. So for a 4 tap, I mean, you can do it with a 1 like that. Okay, not like that, like that. That was a 4 tap, or maybe I accidentally did a 5 tap, I don't know. But the easiest way to 4 tap is to do a piano roll, but only using 2 buttons, so like that, and that's a 4 tap. And 2 tap is the same thing as that, but just one piano roll. And then 5 tap is the hardest spin dash, because it's kind of awkward, I guess you could say. For this, you want to do a 3 tap, and then before releasing, you want to piano roll 2 buttons. So it's like combining a 3 tap and a 2 tap in one spin dash. That was not a good 5 tap. Like that. And all of these, even 1 tap, you just press 1. All of these have uses throughout the game, very specific ones, but once again, for the majority of the game, you want to be 6 tapping, because it's the most efficient way to progress through the game. I guess I might as well talk about control lock here as well, since that's related. I'll talk about control lock and rolling in this part as well. So rolling is, a lot of people think rolling is faster than running when they start running this game, and this is actually true. In fact, most cases rolling is, well, I mean, sometimes it's true, but most of the time rolling is slower. The only time rolling is faster is if you're going on a downslope. If you're on flat ground or on upslopes, rolling is always going to be slower. So, like for example, let's take Chem 1. So here, obviously after a spin dash, you're always going to be rolling. So if you're on flat ground and there's a ceiling above you, you always want to jump in that ceiling. Or not always, but most of the time. There are situations where you wouldn't want to do that, but most of the time you want to jump into the ceiling and hold right as soon as you hit the ground to conserve your speed. When you're running, you will still lose speed if you're not holding any direction. So you want to hold right always, and you maintain a consistent speed if you do that. On flat ground at least. So slopes, that's pretty much how they work. But another very important property of slopes is that jumping off them gives you speed, specifically when you're rolling. If you're rolling and you jump off, well, I mean, this isn't a good slope to show this off on, but say this slope, right? If you jump on this slope at the right time, you'll get a burst of speed. However, if you're running, let me actually try to get this to work. The speed isn't the same as if you did a roll jump. It's a little bit slower. And obviously I got the subpixel there, but that's besides the point. See, it's a little bit slower. And the key thing about roll jumping is that speed cap doesn't affect roll jumps. I'll get into speed cap in a second, but they don't affect roll jumps, since if you're control locked, you can't speed cap. And control lock is basically when if you roll and you jump, no directional inputs will work. You just can't do any directional inputs. That's just how the game's programmed, I guess you could say. And that makes slope jumps very powerful in this game. Very, very powerful. So there's a thing with spin dashing where if you spin dash and then you jump a frame after releasing, you'll kind of you won't go anywhere, you'll just jump up, and you'll also be control locked. This is called a straight jump. Okay, so this game, so Sonic 1 had a ground speed cap, where if you hold right on the ground and you're going above ground speed, like regular running speed, you'll just slow down immediately, like instant slowdown. Sonic 2 gets rid of this, but they keep the aerial speed cap, which is the same thing but only when you're in the air. And the way to negate this is to just not hold right. Or, well, I mean, it also is left, but it depends on the direction you're going in. So if I hold left in the air here, I won't lose my speed. I mean, I'll lose some of it, obviously, but not all of it. But if I hold right, as you see, I just go halt, pretty much. And if I hold nothing, I'll just run. A lot of people think speed cap... A lot of people think speed cap is like only a negative thing, but it's actually in some cases kind of a positive. Like a good example is like sometimes you want to slow down to get on this platform here, right? So if you hold left, like I said, you won't be able to do that. But if you speed cap and then tap left, for example, you'll land right on it, and you're able to do this section as normal. Most of the time, though, speed cap is kind of a negative thing. One thing to note is that if you're rolling, you can still speed cap, because like if you don't jump. If you don't jump, you're not control locked. You can still move in midair. So I can still speed cap here despite me being in a rolling state. Yeah, and actually, I mean, I already talked about rolling, but just a lot of people roll quite a lot. Generally, unless you're on a down slope, you never want to roll. So, like, some people roll here And this is just bad use of rolling, because you're gonna be control locked here. If like you can't stop if your jump isn't high enough, for example. It's just bad use of rolling. So generally, you want to be running unless you're on a downslope. But there are exceptions to that, which will be covered in the when I get to the levels. But yeah, that's pretty much it for rolling. I guess let's talk about tails next. So tails is there's almost no reason for tails to be in this round. There's one, I mean, technically not one, but there's one main level where he actually makes a difference, and it's Metro 3. So this level up here, please, thank you. This level up, you need tails to perform. And also, you can one cycle the boss in this level, and that also requires tails. So that's why level is pretty much the only reason why tails is even along here. And tails is also kind of annoying in some levels, like Metro 3, as he's definitely the reason why this level is so fast, but he's also one of the reasons why this level is so frustrating to play. Next, speed shoes. I feel like this is important to mention. When you have speed shoes, speed cap is pretty much non-existent. Like it just doesn't exist. And because of that, you don't really need to worry much about holding right. Another thing about speed shoes is that spin dashing, you almost never want to spin dash when you have speed shoes, because spin dashing is actually slower. I mean, it's like the same speed pretty much, but most of the time spin dashing is slower than just running on the ground with speed shoes. As you can see, it's like pretty much the same speed or even faster with speed shoes to just run. You also are in a rolling state when you spin dash, which is annoying. I've already mentioned that rolling states are generally not good and you want to avoid them for most situations, which is why speed shoes are so effective in the levels that they're in the levels that they're used in. I honestly pretty much can't think of a single situation where you would spin dash while having speed shoes. I mean, with the exception, I mean, you're technically spin dashing before the speed shoes in this level. You roll in Emerald Till 1. Casino 1, no. Yeah, there's pretty much nothing. So the general rule when you have speed shoes is you're either running, or in some cases you might be rolling, but it's never a spin dash. And so that's speed shoes. Next up is cycles. So with Sonic 2 there's 3 types of cycles. There's camera cycles, global cycles, and also power on cycles, which I can only think of one example of that one. But let me start with global cycle. So actually, before I should probably explain what a global cycle is first. A global cycle is a cycle that begins as soon as you start a level. And an example of this is these platforms coming up. These platforms here are on a global cycle. So I made the earliest possible cycle you can make, unless you're tasked, for these platforms. And like I said, yeah, so these are, you want to pretty much go as fast as possible as soon as the level begins to make the best possible cycle for these, or pretty much any global cycle. Next up are camera cycles. A good example of a camera cycle are the crushers in Mystic Cave. Now, camera cycles are pretty much based on once you approach a certain, like, once you reach a certain part of the level, the cycle will begin. It's not always when the object is on screen, but it's more like when you're in the vicinity of that cycle, like the cycle's trigger, I guess you could say. So this cycle does not begin on the camera. It actually begins a bit earlier, and that's generally the case with pretty much every camera cycle in this game. You don't need to worry too much about these. Like, for example, in this level, Mystic 1, right? I can wait at the beginning as long as I want. Like, I can wait a bit. And the cycle doesn't start until I get near the crusher. So these are just, you just need to worry about being fast when you're in the vicinity of them. And the last type of cycle is power on cycle, which is the Wing Fortress platform cycle. Not the beginning platforms where the flames are, but the ones after. I'll show you what I mean. So these platforms, the disappearing and appearing platforms, these ones are power on cycle, which means as soon as you turn, I believe, the console on, or maybe it's when you turn the game on, one of those two, the game or the cycle starts. So even if you're not in the game, like even if you haven't started like a game, the cycle is still going. And this is the most unpredictable cycle. Another example of a, not in this game, but another example of a power on cycle are the vines in Angel Island 1 in Sonic 3 Knuckles. That's another example. I'm sure some of you know about that. But these are unmanipulable, or there's no manipulation for these cycles. Like, there's no way to know what cycle they're on or anything. This cycle is weird, like this platform is just not here. It's wacky, like, don't worry too much about this. This isn't that important. And lastly, before I talk about, before I get into the levels, I'm gonna talk about pausing, right? This is a pretty controversial topic, I guess you could say, within the classic Sonic speedrun community. Some people are against it, some people are for it. Doesn't matter if you're against it or for it. I'm just gonna talk about it anyways, because I think it's fine, and it's a very useful tool. So if something is like easier for you with pause buffering, then I would just say go for it and pause. Like, you could call it abuse of a game function or whatever. I don't really care. Like, if it makes something easier, more consistent for you, just pause then. Because at the end of the day, people are going to do it, and not doing it is just a disadvantage to yourself. If you're such a purist that you don't want to pause buffer, then you can not pause buffer. But I'd say at least give it a go and see if it fits your tastes. So, for example, like this jump, I can do it pauseless, right? But pause buffering makes it, well, okay, if I can, that's not the right frame. Pause buffering just makes it more consistent, right? Some people, like, I'm not gonna say names really, but some people pause for a lot of things, and some people pause very minimally. Like for big skips that require pausing to make them consistent, like Measure 3, for example. Pretty much, I don't know a single runner who doesn't pause for this trick. You can do it pauseless, but it's not consistent, because this trick is very difficult to do pauseless. And that's just the nature of how pausing works in this game. It's meant to be, well, it's not meant to be abused. I don't think dev's meant for you to abuse it, but in the speedrunning sense, it's meant to be abused. It's there to help you. So don't ignore it, is what I would say. But I guess with that out of the way, I might as well like get into the actual levels. So Emerald Hill, I'm gonna talk about the 20 strats and the 19 strats, and then some backups. If you mess up the roll onto the invincibility monitor. So at the beginning, I'm gonna talk about 20 first. So you want to 6-tap, and you want to jump up onto this higher ground and stop and do another spin dash. This platform is on a global cycle, this one. So you want to be fast at the beginning to make it. You can clear this gap without the platform being there, but you need to get spin dash. So the platform just makes it much easier. After this, you just want to kind of jump and keep holding right and doing precise jumps to make it to the speed shoes. I'll show you what I mean. Kind of like that. I mean, I know I rewinded a lot there. I haven't done this route in ages, so I apologize. But you just kind of want to do a few jumps there and jump onto these speed shoes. And now this is the hardest part of the level, I guess you could say. So this slope, this upslope here, you want to roll on it. This is an example of where you would want to roll on an upslope. As I mentioned, usually you don't want to do this, but in some certain cases, you do want to actually roll on upslopes. So you want to roll kind of around here, I'd say. It's hard to do with pause buffering. You just kind of got to get a feel for this roll, is what I'd say. So let me just go back so I can do this by feel. As soon as you roll, you need to immediately switch to holding right. So I should probably mention when you are holding right, you can't roll at the same time as holding right. You have to release right, tap down, and then start holding right again. This is key. You need to do this very fast. Otherwise, you might not have enough speed to get to the invincibility monitor. And I apologize for the background noise. The key thing to look at is where you hit this monitor. So as you can see, I'm hitting on the left side here. This is good. If you get this, you just want to hold right. And the rest of this will go as normal. But if you hit it in the middle or on the right side, you might want to do a quick left-right, because if you don't, let me try to get an example of this real quick. So as you can see, I hit it on the right side here. So if I just keep holding right, I'll do this. I'll just go through this. So if I do hit it like that though, left, right, and I hit the monitor as normal, and I can proceed as normal. So if you get this, there's 3 things that can happen with this after hitting this monitor. And just hold. So if you hold right, you'll hit this enemy pretty much all the time if you are on the left side of the monitor. Sometimes you'll hit the second enemy, but it's pretty rare. If you do, you just keep holding right. But most of the time, you won't hit it, and you'll just fall into this loop. When you get to this spring, you want to do a very quick left-right so that you don't bonk this wall. Like that. And keep running. But if you let me get one of these. If you get this and you miss it, you just keep running and do the same thing. And then the ending, you want to jump kind of like in the top left corner of this loop, and you'll get a quick burst of speed. And since you have speed shoes, you don't really need to worry about speed cap, and just full jump on this slope. You can do a delayed jump here, like right before the spring, which saves a few frames. Let me, if I can get it, please. Like that, and you won't get as much jump height, right? And this saves a few frames because you're minimizing air drag, but it's not that big of a deal. Like this you don't need to worry about this. Just jump on the upslope, and you'll be fine. And you'll get a 20 with this. You can get a 19 with this strat, but it's very difficult, so don't worry too much about it. The 19 strat is the same. I do there's 2 ways to do this, but I don't know the other one, so I'm just gonna teach the one I do. both honestly the same in difficulty pretty much in my opinion, and this one makes it a bit more lenient, so I'll teach this one. At the beginning you want to 6-tap again, and you want to jump around like the end of this flag round, kind of. It's like a medium jump. And then you want to stop immediately and do a 6-tap and release, and then after releasing you need to hold down again to go through this monitor. And keep holding down. Release down like around here, I guess. And just hold nothing until you're at the top of the slope, and then do like a small jump and hold right to speed cap. So you want to stop here, and then you want to spin dash. I do a 4-tap. You can do this with a 6-tap, a 5-tap, and I think even a 3-tap. I find 4-tap to be the most consistent. And you want to, not as soon as you land, but a few frames after landing, you want to jump. And you want to jump a few frames after landing, right? You can full jump or medium jump, it doesn't really matter, but you need a speed cap at the right time so you hit this monitor, right? And then the rest of the level is as normal. Right, so this is all the same. So I actually missed 19 there, but I'll show you what a 19 generally looks like. Oh dear God, I can't play this game. Yeah, something like that. I'm sorry for all the rewinding, I apologize. Now I'll explain some backups. There's 2, but I generally don't do them that often. So the first backup is if you roll too early. Kind of get to this invincibility monitor right beside it, right? So what you want to do is you want to spin dash, 1-tap, and then release and hold down again, and then do a small right tap. And you'll hit this monitor. So as soon as you hit this monitor, you want to hold right. You'll land here, and you want to jump on this micro. You'll either get this, or you can get a big jump. Like that. I actually got kind of a bad jump there because I hit the enemy. But you'll generally get this. So if you get this, you want to slow down a little bit after hitting this. And then when you hit the spring, hold right. And finish the level as normal. And you'll typically lose a second doing this over just doing the level normal. The second backup is if you roll too late. I actually missed it, but you'll typically hit the fish. Right, so if you hit the fish, just keep holding right. You won't bonk that, don't worry. There's no collision for some reason. And you want to slow down a little bit, like do like a long left tap. Like not a hold, but like a long tap, I guess you could say. And it's pretty much the same as the other backup from here on. This backup is a little bit faster than the other one. So you can still get a 19 with this. Granting your beginning is fast enough. That's pretty much it for this level. And yeah. Emerald Hill 2. So start with the 6-tap and make sure you hold down on this bridge, because if you don't, sometimes you'll die to this enemy. So my spinach is fast enough here, but if your spinach is too slow, for example, you can just die. Hello, please. Yeah, like that. There you go. So you want to hold down for consistency. And around the end of this bridge, you want to full jump. And when you land, you want to one tap through this monitor. Make sure you don't roll through it. So I'm going to start with the mid route. So there's two ways. You can do a jump here. Or not here, but earlier. You can kind of swoosh through there like that. Or the easier method, you just run and slow down. Choice is yours. Just keep running, doing some loop jumps there. When you reach the spring, make sure you're at least right for like a little bit. Because sometimes if you hold right, you won't get sprung up if you have bad subpixels. So I actually got sprung up there by holding right, but sometimes you just won't get sprung up and you have to release right to get sprung up. Right. And the invincibility route, right? So the mid route, I guess you could say. You want to jump, you want to do a small jump, and you want to roll on the slope. Hold right as soon as you kill this guy. And you want to jump on the slope. So you can either get a good jump here, or you can get a bad jump, like that. Doesn't really matter, but you generally want this. And then you want to jump on the slope onto these speed shoes. Hold A to bounce, and then bounce on this badnik, and you'll kind of just run. And then just run to the boss arena. And you'll get here. And then you just need to stand in him and just walk, and you'll kill him. And with this route, you're aiming for a sub 40, typically, but the best you can get is with the topper beginning, you can get a 37. Right. The next route is like a bit different, so I'll get there once I get there. Actually, I should probably talk about this now. This microslope here, you can do a jump on it, and you'll get a bunch of height. And if you slow down enough in midair and hold A, you can bounce on this monkey. And this jump saves a second. Continue by running down here and jumping around the middle of this ground. And this is the hard part. So, I mean, monkey jump's hard as well, but this is the hard part. You want to jump like at the end of this bridge, full jump. And you'll hit that monkey. Then you wanna, when you land, you wanna tap left and then roll. And then once you get to around here, you wanna hold right again. And then when you get to around here, you wanna break and then jump, kind of like in this pit, you could say. It may not look like it, but there's a bunch of microslopes here, so. Again. So after rolling there, you slow down here and you kind of jump in the pit. Like I said, this pit, there's a bunch of microslopes here. They're kind of hard to see. I'm really bad at doing this with pausing, sorry. And when you get here, you want to roll through this monitor and then hold right out of the tunnel. Now, as soon as you land, pretty much you want to do a medium jump. Not a full jump, a medium jump. This is important. If you full jump, this next jump afterwards is going to be very inconsistent. And you'll land here, and then you want to jump on this slope. So you can either get this, where you just kind of glide through. This is, in my opinion, the best one, although it's not the fastest. Or you can get this, where you bonk the ceiling. But if you jump too late, a lot of the time, you can either that, or you can get this, and it loses time. So I would say jump earlier on for better consistency. It's not, you can still get 35 with that variation. And next up is the boss. So this boss is tricky at first, but you'll get the hang of it eventually. What I wait for as a visual cue is when Robotnik's like about to get in his car, and then I hold left, and I roll it around like the front of this wheel, I guess you could say, to get 4 hits. Let me turn game audio off of it. So I have an audio cue for this. For when to jump. So it's kind of like the song goes like duh, 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 and then on that note you want to jump, and it's like a smaller or medium jump. Like that. It's hard to do from pausing again, but that's pretty much this level. The capsule jump, a lot of people just hold right here, but this is actually kind of slow. What you want to do is you want to jump off the slope to get in a better position, and then just walk and jump at the right time, and you'll hit the capsule. Okay, right, so with that route you're aiming for you're aiming for a 35 or better. Or 30, you're aiming for like a 36 or a 35, not 35 or better, what am I talking about? And yeah, that's pretty much Emerald Hill 2, so let's move on to this level. So there's a beginner friendly strat, and then there's a harder strat. So the beginner friendly strat, you just kind of want to spin dash here, stop, spin dash again, and just hold nothing. When you get to the bottom of the slope, you want to jump and just hold right from here, and when you're on this flat ground you want to jump and then roll through this wander, and you'll just do this and you get to these blocks, right? So if you want the optimal time with this strat, you want to jump as soon as there's a gap between these blocks, and this will help you get a 22. But 23 is a bit more beginner friendly, so I'd say go for that to begin with. You just want to kind of wait for, okay, one sec, this is a really bad pause state. You just kind of want to wait for these blocks to move, and then make sure not to bonk this wall, because that loses time. Try your best not to do that. And then just run to these. You can do a roll jump here for a burst of speed. This makes 22 more lenient. But I don't think this is 22 pace anyways. And just hold right. Once you clear this loop, you need to make sure you're holding right for this jump. If you're not holding right, this won't work. And once you're on this slope, you want to jump. And you want to release at a certain point so that you don't hit the door or the wall or whatever. And you'll just kind of get in here, right? If you jump too high, sometimes you can get like that, but that's fine. Just spin dash and continue as normal. Go up here, spin dash, make sure not to control lock, and you're done. So I got a 23 there, but you can get a 22 if you're fast enough. I'll try my best to do there now. There you go. Next up is the early cycle. This is much harder, and this is an advanced strat, so if you're starting off, I would not recommend you go for this. So the beginning is the same. but you want to do it faster because you're trying to make an early block cycle there. When you get to these slopes, you want to slope jump and roll and do another slope jump, but don't jump too early there, otherwise you'll hit that. And then here you want to run. Roll on this down slope. What am I doing? Yeah, roll on this down slope and then jump at the end. And once you get to around here, you want to jump. Oh no, that still works. So you want to jump, and then you have a few frames here to jump, but you need to jump after this yellow slope here. And it's a full jump. So that's too early, that's too late, like that. And you want to speed cap around here when you're over the monitor. Full jump makes it so that you don't hit this monitor every time, which just makes it more consistent. And when you hit this, you want to roll, jump on this slope, and jump on this slope, but not like that, like that. And once you get out top here, you want to hit bounce on this badnik. And once you bounce, you're going to make this cycle. And you need to slow down a little bit, because if you don't, you're going to bonk and you just jump up. And the rest of the levels is normal. Getting a 21 in this level is the most infuriating feeling ever. But you can get a 20 if you get a clean jump here. And there you go. That's the early block cycle. This is pretty hard, but I'd say give it a go. Maybe you can find it somewhat easy or something. I don't know. But that's pretty much it for this level. So let's move on to Chem 2. So this level has the first instance of what someone might call a glitch, I guess. Some people consider this a glitch, some people don't, but it's tails manipulation to skip pretty much half the level. I'll show you what I mean. So what we're trying to do is get this door here that's coming up, to get that door to open. And the way you do it is you 3-tap at the beginning and you hold right. Not like that. You want to, okay, so you want to delay your 3-tap a little bit so tails mimics your inputs. And hold right to bounce on this badnik. When you hit this wall, you want to hold down to roll. And when you see the second slope here, like the cross section, kind of like this direct X, you want to jump to hit this wall. When you land, make sure to not roll, you want to hold right. And you want to jump on the slope at the right time and hold left to kind of get into where I was. And then hold left against this door and it will open. Key thing to note is when you're doing this, make sure you touch this slope and then you will go down. If you don't touch the slope, you'll get this. So make sure you touch the slope. When you're going through this, make sure not to hold right because you can get subpixeled sometimes. Like that, see? So you want to hold down instead. And once you get to here, you want to just hold right to get up. Jump up to this block. Charge the spin dash, wait for this. Make sure not to hold anything here. And when you land, hold right. Now we're at the big jump. This jump has a few ways of doing it, but I'm going to just detail two. The one I do and the one that most people do. So the one most people do is they jump and then they speed cap while holding A. You gotta make sure you hold A and you'll get up. You got a bunch of time. This one's a bit easier than the one I do, but it's also a bit slower. And the one I do is I hold left before jumping, like maybe a quarter of a second before jumping, and then I jump. It's going to be kind of hard to do from this, so I'm just going to do it from this. So I'm actually not getting it because I'm stupid. But sometimes you'll get into that gap. If that happens, just go left and go up normally. There we go, like that. This end section is also kind of precise. Like, you have to do one thing here in order for it to work. You must roll jump off this slope. If you don't roll jump, this end section will not work properly, or you won't be able to do it as intended in the run. Just hold right here until you get to here. When you see the spring, you want to leg over right. And you'll just run, you won't speed cap, and you'll land on here. If you don't do the roll jump, you won't be able to clear this gap here. So that's important. This last section, there's two ways to do it. You can either just jump as soon as you land, or a slightly faster method, you can roll jump. But this is harder, so keep that in mind. And you just slow down. Now, for this, you want to wait for the right time. You just got to kind of get a feel for this, and then you want to hold right and medium jump. If you full jump, you're a bit slower because you get higher bounces on him and you're losing frames. So medium jump, or if you really want to, I guess you can full jump. It doesn't really matter. So I actually jumped early there because I'm stupid, but yeah. Okay, sorry. Right, so after defeating him, you want to hold left to just land on here. Wait for the screen to start moving, and for this capsule jump, what I look at, when I look at the ground. So I see there's like the big ones and the little ones, right? Like on the ground, like the big sections and the big ones and the little ones. So I wait until I see this little one almost fully on screen, and then I jump, and I land on the capsule. You can find your own visual cue, that's just what I use. That's Chem 2. This level has a few strats. Quite a few, actually. But there's only really 3 main routes, I guess. I mean, one of them is like a route alteration, and then the other one's a completely different route. But the beginning is the same for all of them. So you want to 6-tap at the beginning. You want to 6-tap. And I don't know if you can see this, but like after this pillar, you want to jump. Like once you're past this pillar, you want to full jump. And you'll go over the pillar. Then you want to stop and do another 6-tap. And jump kind of like on this downslope here, like that. Stop and 6-tap again. Roll. And there's 2 ways to do this next section. You can either jump, slope jump here, and run. And jump on this log. Make sure you're running for this jump, because if you're not, you won't be able to make it on. If you're rolling, you won't make it on the log. You'll just bonk. Let me show you what I mean. Or that will happen, I guess. Yeah, that's okay. Learning something new every day. But the better way, in my opinion, to do this is to just roll and do a small jump and go through this. And as soon as you come out, you just want to jump. Then you stop there and 6-tap and make sure you hold down. And this slope here, you can do a slope jump on it if you want. You don't have to, but you can. It saves time. Like that. And just keep rolling. Once you get underwater here, make sure you're holding down the whole time. And once you clear this gap and land here, you want to do a tap jump. A small jump. And keep rolling. If you do this right, you'll break this monitor. Do not release down. Keep holding down until you hit the wall. And then you hold right and jump out. Make sure you hold down until you hit the wall, because if you don't, you will control lock when you jump. I'll show you what I mean. See, I'm control locked. I can't do any directional input. And then just run and jump on this slope. Do a quick left right to slow down. and just finish the level. You'll get a 21 at best with this. I mean, you can also get a 20, but it's very, very, very difficult, so don't worry that much about that. Next is the slightly faster, more advanced route. So it's pretty much the same level, but a few variations, a few alterations, I guess you could say. Let's do this. So spin dash here as usual, but instead of going through the loop, we're going to go on the loop. You want to jump at the beginning of the slope, and you'll get on the loop, right? Stop and spin dash again. So after spin dashing, there's two things that can happen, depending on your subpixels. If you have good subpixels, you'll get this, where you just kind of float onto this log. Or you'll get this where you just fall like a brick. So if you get this one, you want to speed cap as close to the log as possible. Don't speed cap too late because you'll bonk otherwise. And you go through the log, and then the rest of the level is as normal until one point, but I'll get to that in a second. But if you get the glide, you want to just jump at the end of this log, and this is the same. This is the second alteration. Once you jump out here, you want to do a small jump immediately. Or not immediately, but almost right away. And you land on this, and then as soon as you land on this, you want to full jump and hold A the whole time. And you'll hit this fly, and just get right up. And this is a little bit faster. And we'll get a 20. And then let's talk about some brief optimizations quickly for this route. So there's two main ones that I want to talk about. Here on this slope, you can do a jump into the ceiling. Not too late though. See, I do it too late. You kind of want to do it like here. And this gives a bit of speed. This makes 20 more lenient, and can be the difference between a 21 and a 20. This does make this jump a bit harder sometimes, but I think it's something worth mentioning. And the last one, this one's kind of garbage, but you can do a frame perfect roll jump on this slope. That's early. There you go. And that's the second one. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the unused route that I found earlier this year. So instead of going up here, we're actually just going to roll. And we're going to jump around here and hold A. Now, this jump is dependent on your speed, so it's kind of inconsistent, but it's eventually get the feel for it. And depending on your speed, one of two things can happen. Either you get that, where you hit the ground before falling in, or you can hit this wall. Sometimes you can just like kind of glide through and not hit the wall. If you get that, that's pretty bad, but it's savable. This is the better one to get. When you land, you won't be able to spin dash immediately, because if you're control locked, you kind of like get like a weird effect where you kind of stand in the air. So make sure to wait a little before spin dashing, and then 6-tap. And you have 1 frame to jump here, I believe. It might be 2, but there's only like 1 consistent frame. And if you jump, you'll jump out like this. That was a bad spin dash though, so let me get a better one. So that's early. So if you get that, that's pretty bad. That's like a reset pretty much, but if you jump in time, you'll get this, and then the rest of the levels as normal. Now, you can get a 19 with this, but it's pretty hard. the key thing with this route is that it makes 20 consistent. It makes, like, as long as you do everything right, you'll always get a 20 pretty much. So that's the big thing with this route, but it's much harder. So it's your choice if you want to do it or not. And then also a little backup if you missed the big jump. If you jump late, if your spin dash is fast enough and you jump on at the right time, you can make it up there and do it normally. So it's a hard jump, but that's the only backup if you miss it. What a hard jump. There we go, like that. And it loses a second, but it's there if you want to go for this route. So that's that. I was gonna mention the zip, but I think I'll save that for the like final like good guide, because this is just temporary. So let's move on to Aquatic 2 now. There is 2 routes for this level. Well, I mean, the beginning is the same for both, so I'll just explain this. You 6-tap, and then you want to tap left here, like something, depending on your speed, either a long tap or a big tap, and then you hold right. And you'll get the feeling for this, but there are micro slopes here, and you want to jump on a micro down slope so you get less height. With a small jump, and then just roll. On this slope here, you can do a small, you can do a jump to save a bit of time. It's a bit faster. It's not necessary or anything. And this jump here is a bit tricky sometimes, but you want to jump kind of here generally, and you don't want a full jump. You want to release the jump at a certain point, and then just run here. There is an alternate method of doing this level that I'll mention here now, but it's not really worth doing because it's harder and slower. Depending on your speed, you can jump. There's 2 windows for it. There's 2, I think, 1-frame windows. I'm not 100% sure on the window for it. But you can kind of jump and hit the underside of this pillar and just keep rolling. But this is irrelevant, just don't worry about this. It's slow and useless. So after this, you want to walk up to this and you want to jump and get hit by the arrows. I'm going to try to get a good thing here. Okay, so you're looking at pixels here. There's 2 pixels you want to look for, and it is this. So if you look at the bottom of Sonic's, like the back of Sonic's foot, under his foot, there's like 2 pixels where there's no grass. These 2 here. I don't know if you can see them very well, but those are the 2 you want to look at. If his foot is in the, if the back of his foot is in those 2 pixels, you want to do a 2-tap spin dash. If it's anywhere else, if his foot is anywhere else, you just do a 1-tap spin dash. And I'll explain why in a second. So I do a 2-tap here, and I get this. I get sprung up all the way. 2-tap, you get directly in this tunnel. And if you do a 1-tap, you either get... I think this still works with a 1-tap, yeah. So you can either get this. This is called half. This is like half coin flip. This trick is called coin flip. This is half coin flip. Or if you have a different pixel, you can get a big coin flip. There we go, like this. So if you get this, you want to stop in this tunnel and spin dash. You can do a slope jump here if you want. And you want to jump at the end of the slope. A small jump. And go on the spring and jump here on the slope and finish the level as normal. Which I'll explain in a second as well. Or if you get the 2-tap, I know I didn't pause there, but you would want to pause. You don't stop, but you just roll through the tunnel instead. Once you get to the top of the slope, you want to start pause buffering, and this is to get a quick boss load. You kind of just got to get a feel for the pauses. I'm not very good at this for some reason anymore, but I used to be okay at it. You want to pause in a certain way, and if you do this, you will get this quick boss load, so I just got it here. Just stand here, charge a spin dash, and wait until the pillar pushes you out, and then release and jump. And you want to charge a one-tap spin dash here. So this next thing is the first actual glitch of the run, I guess you could say. We're trying to do a frame perfect boss kill, which saves around 3 to 4 seconds. And we're looking for one of 4 frames. So this is the, I'm gonna just, this is the first frame. Make sure you have a one-tap spin dash charge, by the way. If you get this, hold left. Hold left the whole way until you're about to get to the pillar, where you tap right. You want to hit him on the first frame that he becomes vulnerable for the next 7 hits. The second, third, fourth, and fifth hit are all one taps, and the 6th, 7th, and 8th are all 6 taps. Yeah, for a second. So this next hit is a one tap, and you're just gonna have to get the timing for these hits. There's no cues or anything, at least not that I know of. And you just gotta time these hits. So and you'll know you got it when he just goes off screen like that. And then just jump on the capsule. I should probably explain how to identify this frame. So I look at like this black pixel here, or I think it's black, I don't know. This dark pixel here, I look at this when it's like just 1 pixel, and his flames are like long, like this. That's what I look at. And then this is the hold left the whole way. The next frame is this one, where it's a bit more showing this screw, and his flames are little like this. So this one, you want to hold left until he's like just off the pillar like this, and then hold nothing. And then when you're about to get on the pillar, you tap right. And then it's the same for these next hits. So sometimes, for the 7th hit there, you can just not get back on the pillar. This is if you hit him too far to the right and your speed isn't fast enough. And I get this a lot, but some people just don't get that very often. Maybe I'm just bad at this, I don't know. But if you get that, you just go to the right, or you just finish the fight, I guess, normally. It's not that big of a deal, but you're just losing time. And there you go. You get the kill. This next frame is the good frame, you could say, where it's like all white here, kind of. You can like I don't know. You just gotta find some visual cue for it. I just use this. How it's even bigger now. This screw, and this you just hold nothing, and then the hits are the 2 to 8 hits are the same as usual. Oh my gosh, can I stop getting that, please? There you go. And the last frame, this is the hardest one. For this frame, you're gonna have like maybe like less than 10 frames to do a 3-tap spin dash after unpausing. And hold nothing. It's a very tight window. So, and then the rest of the hits are as normal. So let me try to see if I can get it. So that was 1 frame late. And that's it. And then after beating him, I should probably mention how to do this capsule thing. Let me get a good, better frame so I can do this more easily. So as soon as you land, you want to 3-tap and jump immediately after. Hold nothing and then just wait a bit and then jump. And you'll hit the capsule like this. And that's pretty much AR2. I mean, there's not much else to say about this, right? Oh, yeah, I should probably mention, if you mess up coin flip, this is going to take a while to rewind, but if you mess up coin flip, oh god. So if you mess up coin flip, you want to hold right here, 6-tap, 6-tap again, and here you want to stop 1-tap and do a small left tap. And hold right. The left tap is to slow down so those batnicks don't hit you. And then this part is, and then it's just the same as usual. So that's an example of me not getting it, the quick boss load. If you get this, make sure you walk left a little bit, otherwise you won't be able to spin dash. And then just 1-tap, I guess. I'm messing this up for some reason, but okay. That's pretty much RT, yeah. So we'll move on to casino now. So let me get my notes out for this level. There's really only one route for this level, but there's a backup. There's a few backups. At the beginning you want a 6-tap or 3-tap, doesn't really matter. 6-tap's faster, but your choice. You want to spin dash, and you want to do a small tap jump, so that you land here. With a 6-tap at least. With a 3-tap, you like a medium jump, I guess, in the middle of that. And then you want to land here, and you want to 3-tap. It's actually key that you 3-tap, because it makes this jump a lot easier. If you 1-tap, sometimes you just can't jump, and 6-tap's too fast, obviously. And make sure you don't full jump, because you can jump over this conveyor belt. When you land, you want to do a medium jump or a small jump, and then just hold right. So this roofing here can subpixel you sometime. You can get stopped by it. So what I do to prevent this is just let go of right for a little bit, and then just run down. And you want to grab this invincibility and jump up onto this box. I kind of wait to jump here until Sonic is like this like brick kind of thing, this like pattern. I wait until he's like his body's like in the middle of that, and then I full jump onto the spring. hold nothing after bouncing until you're like here, kind of like until you're, yeah, like somewhere around here, and then you hold right. You want to release right when you hit this roof for at least a little bit so that you don't go over this flipper here, and then you can start holding right again. So I actually went over here, but you want to slow down a little bit. And you want to wait until you're like in the middle of this flipper, and you want to flip, and then hold right, slow down midair, and then hold right again. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this next jump. You can medium jump, or you can small jump, or whatever. The medium jump is probably what most people do. They just medium jump here. They get this. What I do is different. I full jump and I slow down midair and then hold right. Like that. So you can get a lot of different bounce patterns. This is a good one. And you want to jump when you're on this flat ground. If you jump too early, you'll hit the ceiling. So you want to jump on the flat ground to swoosh right through there. Depending on your bounce pattern, sometimes you can't make this, which is, well, bad. If that happens, you want to just go down here and go up. But if you do get it, you jump. Okay, you jump up. If you bonk that wall, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry too much about it. Just keep holding right. And jump on this down slope. Don't jump on the flat ground. You want to jump on that down slope. Now, wait until you're on this monitor. And here you want to piano roll a full jump. Or you can do a medium jump, I guess, as well. And if that happens, you can either get that or you can land on the ground there. It doesn't really matter, but you want a full jump or medium jump and hit on these bumpers, and you'll land here. And then you want to full jump on these monitors next. And you'll get up here to the top root. And this next part, if you were too fast, you might want to slow down a little here. If you know your speeches are gonna last past this flipper, you're gonna maybe slow down a little here, but I know they should be fine here. And you want to just hold right the whole time until you see these rings. And once you see these rings, you want to do a quick left right like that, and you'll clip through that flipper. And once you're here, you want to just flip up and finish the level. And the best you can get with this is a 27, which I did not get. Now for some backups. Let's say your beginning was slow. Or you lost time somewhere after getting the speed shoes. And you think your speed shoes are going to run out before you get up to the top route. So I actually didn't run out here, but if you think they're going to run out, you can slow down here a little and roll into this blue box. And then after hitting this box, you want to do like 2 left taps. And yeah, you'll kind of just fall in here. And then you want to hold A to get this and roll up. I mean, you don't have to roll up this slope, it doesn't really matter. And that's the back. You can get 29 with this still if you're fast enough, but you'll usually get 30 or 31. And the last backup I want to talk about is if you fall down here for some reason, right? So you want to just go up this elevator. And you want to stop here and 6 tap. And what this will do is you'll just land directly on this flipper. And from here you flip up and you do the backup I mentioned previously, where you just do this, go down, and that's that. And lastly, I want to mention the zip. There's 2 ways of doing this zip. This ceiling is a strat. This saves 2 seconds, by the way. So I wouldn't go for this. This is just really inconsistent. Okay, thank you. So you want to land on this flipper, and you want to wait until you're at the very edge and then flip. And you'll hit this wall. And then you want to go on this flipper and wait until you're in the middle. Flip and hold right. And keep running. I'll explain the method I do. So you want to pause kind of like under these two rings here. And roll. And then you want to kind of wait until Sonic's pretty much fully in this wall and you hold left. Maybe not fully in the wall, like this, when he's almost fully in the wall. And you'll kind of like see Sonic jolt, like that. And then just keep holding left to zip. And at a certain point, after you see this wall go away, you need to do like a hold right and then hold left again, like this. To grab the signpost. If you don't do that, you won't hit the signpost. As you can see. I just go past it, but you can just hold right afterwards, I guess. Sometimes you soft lock, sometimes you don't, I don't know. And if you don't pause directly under the rings or something, say you pause here, you might want to roll a bit earlier. So I soft locked here. I got it there. It's really inconsistent. It's all speed based. Sometimes I think it's a little subpixel dependent. I'm not 100% sure on that though. So if you want a better explanation of this, I'll definitely scratch up on this, like get more info on this before I get to it in the full like edited guide and stuff. But for now, this is the best you're gonna get from me. So you might want to ask some of the other top runners about this trick, like Joey or Boom. Hey Tej. I'm doing pretty good, how about you? Okay. So that's CN1, right? Yeah, that's CN1. Next is CN2. This is, in my opinion, the hardest level in the game. So yeah, we're gonna have some fun here. So, I'm trying to think here. Alright, let's talk about, oh, that's not what the level I want to play. So at the beginning of the level, you want to 3-tap and do a jump. And then jump as soon as you land pretty much, and like maneuver your way onto the spring. And just run up. And then you want to jump and hit these speed shoes. And then jump at the edge of this loop, right? And then you're gonna run, and you're gonna just do this, keep running, jump on this slope, and you want to grab these speed shoes. If you want a consistent grab on these speed shoes, you want to just do a left-right, like that. But if you don't, if there's a like speed shoe, like no double speed shoes, single speed shoes method that I'll talk about in a second. It's a bit much harder, but this next section, there's, well, I guess for beginner strats, I'll just kind of show something easy. You want to slow down in midair. You want to do a left-right in midair, and just fall on this flipper, and hold right until you see Sonic kind of press up against this flipper, and then you want to hold right a bit longer, so he just starts barely moving to the right. So you bounce on this. Then you want to go into the spring up. Not like that, but that's fine. I guess it works. And you want to fall down. Break this open. And you want to, so this next section, you want to hold left a little. Not like that, not to where you go in. And you want to roll and hold right. So you get this. And now you're in the elevator. Okay. Then you want to wait until there's kind of like 2 of these metal thingies left. And then you want to release, right? That was actually slow. Let me go back. Right? Descending has 2 ways of doing it. If you have speed shoes, you can't do one of these methods. but I'll explain the first one. So this is a flipper clip, kind of like the one I showed in CN1, except a little different. It's not really a clip, I guess. It's kind of not even a glitch technically. But you want to wait until you hit this green bumper, and then once you hit it, you want to hold right until you hit this ring. That was a bit too early of a release. And you'll go through these two flippers. And then you land in spin dash. Right. But the much more consistent way of doing this is pause once you're like above this green bumper. This green, I call these like, I think they kind of look like hamburgers to me. So I just pause above this one. And then you want to hold left for a bit. And then start holding right again. So that I did not hold left for long enough there, sorry. If you do correctly, you can fall, if I can do it correctly, you can fall in between these two flippers. This is, in my opinion, more consistent than the flipper clip, and Joey also does this. This method instead. They're the exact same speed, there's no difference. In fact, this one's technically even faster, I guess, because you're landing further to the right. So, yeah, I would recommend doing this. Then you spin dash and you jump. And this boss is a big struggle for some people when they start. Hey, Lady Fox. Yeah, I wanted to do this for a while. I'm sorry for like the scuffed background noise a little bit. I'm gonna try my best to tidy this up at least a little bit so that I remove all the gaps where I'm just not saying anything. But yeah, I hope this makes Sonic a bit more accessible to people while I work on the polished guide. Anyways, you want to stop here, right? And you want to wait until he's kind of like fully out the wall here. Then you do a one tap, and you want to jump into him like that off the slope. Make sure you don't jump too early because you'll hit the flipper. And make sure you don't roll down the slope. If you roll down the slope, you've already messed up. So you want to run. And when you're, like, I kind of look at, like, when you're above this red line here, you want to jump and hold left. So you bounce on this bumper. You're going to have to get a feel for this jump. When you hit this bumper, you just want to get a feel for these hits on Robotnik. They're a bit hard at first to get a feel for the maneuvering, but just practice and you'll get a feel for it. The key is to not be moving too fast in direction. You want to have minimal movement in a direction, so that you don't get bounced back too far. For certain hits, you want to get bounced back more than others. You'll get the hang of it. There's not really a way to explain the maneuver in words. You just kind of got to watch and get a feel for it. And that's it for the beginner strats, I guess you could say. So that's a 101. That's actually pretty good for no flipper clip route. Okay. Next up. So, I'm going to talk about some more advanced strats now. So, these are advanced strats. This is the single speed shoes method. Or you can do this with double speed shoes and omit the last trick. But you want to jump here in the middle of the slope so that you don't break the speed shoes. Don't do a left and right, just hold right. And this is also, so this next strat is actually also, you can do this as a beginner. This isn't that difficult, trust me. Like, this is easier than whatever most people do here, and it's more consistent. So you want to do a left right, quick left right, and hold right. And once this checkpoint comes on screen, hold left, and hold right at a certain time. You'll get a feel for this movement pretty easily. It's not difficult. And this is the fastest way to do this section. And it's also easy. Like, this looks a bit difficult, but trust me, it's not that bad once you figure it out. And then jump on this thing. That was not fast, but this next part is the hardest part. This is going to be pretty hard to explain in words, I guess. But you want to get on this flipper, right? And you want to flip. I'd say flip around the middle of this flipper. And you want to kind of get beside that bumper. Next, you need to move to the right, but don't move too much. So, oh, wow, that's funny. There's no way I just got that. If you move too fast, you will hit this bumper slightly, and you'll go in the slot machine, which is not what we want. Also, if you hold right too early, you can get this, where you just bounce on these. That's even worse. Actually, that's probably not, I mean, it can be worse, I guess. But you want to maneuver Sonic in such a way that he hits the side of the slot machine here. When he hits the side of the slot machine, you want to release right, and you want to pause until Sonic is like right beside this bumper, and then you need to do a small left tap. And if you do this correctly, Sonic will go through this flipper. If you pause early, you want to do a smaller left tap. I mean, that was like the same size as the other one. You just want to do a small left tap if you pause early. If you pause late, you want to do a bigger left tap, etc., etc. The hardest part of this is the movement to get beside the slot machine. You will have to practice this a lot. It's not easy. And it's also another thing in this level that's hard to explain in words, the movement, I guess. So watch what other people do, watch their inputs, and try to mimic them, is what I'd say. Oh, wow, I messed it up. Okay, please stop that. After clipping, you want to hold left a little bit, and you want to, oh my gosh, I love that one. That's a classic. You want to roll on the slope and hold right, but you want to be far enough. And if you do it correctly, you'll get this where you just kind of bounce in between the bumpers. So yeah. This next skip, this is the last skip of the level. But it's way less consistent, so I wouldn't even bother going for it, honestly. If you are doing single speed shoes, you want to jump up here, do a 3-tap and roll, and you need to do a frame perfect jump. So what I look at for this jump is this corner, kind of, if you can see this corner, I kind of visualize myself jumping into this corner. And if you get that, you just skip this like section. You don't have to use a spring. And then this part is the same. Once again, this is kind of like what I showed in Air 2 or Air 1, where like when Sonic's control locked. Actually, he's not even control locked here. What am I talking about? This is just like a glitch. Like this is like a. I guess this is a glitch. You can call it that. For some reason, when Sonic does this skip, he kind of does the thing he did in Air 1, where he kind of stands on air. So you gotta wait a bit to spin dash. And then you want to full jump at the edge there into here, slow down, stop, 1-tap, and you want to hold left to get this hit. Then you want to run, and I jump when I'm above this red line. You want to do kind of a medium jump or a big, or like a, just don't full jump. That's the thing. That was not. This is so hard to do with pausing. I apologize. Yeah, one sec. Let me show what this looks like first. Okay, I can't do this apparently. Sure, yeah. Kind of like that. That's a really fast boss because my bouncers are low. So you want to optimize your bounce height so that you're hitting them on the first frame every time. Right? And then you want to run. And you want to, if you're like starting out with this boss, you can just do like a bigger jump. That's not a bigger jump. Another way to make this a bit easier is don't hold left when you're doing the first hit. That way it makes this jump, it makes you go higher, which makes this boss a little easier. But it's also a bit slower, so it's your call what you want to do. And for this capsule jump, I look at this like the palm trees. I look at when the second one is on screen fully, and then I jump. Or not fully, but like almost fully on screen. I don't know. Just figure something out for yourself. Everyone has their own visual cues for capsule jumps. So yeah. And let me see if there's anything else I want to mention. I probably won't do Hilltop today because I am running low on time. So I'll finish this tomorrow, I guess. I mean, we finished more than half of what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to edit this. Try my best to edit this now and put it out. Because there was a lot of pausing. A lot of pauses and scuffed audio. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully the final guide, the polished one, is better than this. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope this, so far, all of this does help you. But yeah, I'm gonna find someone to raid. Yeah, me and Hachi, so Hachi started making one actually, and then he is pretty much given up on it. I'm assuming, and we just always joke about how like Hachi's guide is gonna come out in like 2027 or something. Hopefully mine doesn't take that long to come out, but